What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Dead Cells. Today I'm going to show you guys how you can beat every single boss in the game. Well, except for Concierge, because he's too easy and doesn't warrant a boss guide. So how this guide is going to work is that I'm going to post how to avoid and approach every single fight, and then I'm going to post example runs afterwards. That being said, the entire video is timestamped. If you only want to see a guide for a specific boss that you're struggling with, all you have to do is use the timestamps. And if you find this guide helpful, make sure to drop a like as it really helps me out. Without further ado, let's get right into the guide. So first off, we're going to start with Mama Tick. This is the boss that's introduced in the Bad Seed DLC. When you first enter the fight, she only has one attack, and that's when the sides rise up from the water. Just hit the eyeball relentlessly, dodge it when the sides come up. It's always warned with an exclamation mark, though you might want to be a bit more careful when you're on the left side of the field because it can actually be blocked by the UI. It can make it a little bit too difficult to see. Once it reaches a certain threshold, you will experience a scythe phase where Mama Tick will go into the ground and try to hit you with scythes. There are exactly 25 scythes that rise up. What you want to do is to go to the right corner of the map. You can do it in the left corner, but the UI will kind of be in the way, and dodge into the wall as soon as you see the exclamation mark below you. If you use a shield, you can just parry it. It's worth mentioning that 2 scythes might rise up consecutively, and if you don't have a shield, sadly there is nothing you can do to avoid this. Once Mama Tick returns, she will always open with a melee attack. Now, an aspect about this fight is that as soon as you see the scythes glow yellow, you'll know that she's about to initiate the attack. So as soon as it glows yellow, you can either dodge or parry the attack. If she holds the scythe horizontally, she will either attack twice if you haven't gone through the second scythe phase yet, or 3 times when you've gone both. When it glows yellow, all you have to do is dodge and then jump through the second. If she does it 3 times, add 1 more to that sequence, so dodge once, jump, and then roll again. You can also just parry it, but just be warned that the timing might be delayed. But as long as you keep an eye out on the yellow glow, you should be fine. Mama Tick may also hold the claws vertically in front of her and then try to attack you from across the screen. You can either just move to the opposite side of the arena to dodge it, but if you're feeling lucky, you can also parry it as soon as it flashes yellow to avoid the entire thing. That's it for movesets. If you move too far away from the boss, she will fire explosive goo at you, which really shouldn't be a problem as long as you're close by. And I don't really see how being far away gives you an advantage anyways. Next up is Conjunctivius. So the main takeaway in this fight is you should always try to stay sticky, because you're gonna want to close this fight as soon as possible. When you spend too long in this fight, she will initiate a bullet hell attack, where she goes to the top and sprays a bunch of bullets at you. This is extremely hard to dodge, but I never see this attack 99% of the time as long as you're fast enough to always beat her in time. So as soon as you enter the arena, the fight will always open with a dash attack, so you can predict this and get free hits in. You can dodge or parry it, so there's no reason you should be caught off guard. The projectiles are pretty straightforward, trying to find a safe gap, but try not to dodge roll unless it's absolutely necessary, and if you have a shield, all you have to do is parry it. It's worth mentioning that she will fire more projectiles consecutively as the fight progresses. When she flashes the red aura, dodge away. It really shouldn't be a problem, but just be warned that you cannot parry this attack. So let's move on to the tentacle phases, and I know a lot of people lose their no-hit during this time. So as soon as the tentacle phases start, move to one side of the arena, and the lunging tentacle will always come from the opposite side. And when this happens, walk over to the other side and roll once to dodge the lunging tentacle. Afterwards, just dodge when it's necessary and kill the rest easily. Rinse and repeat, and you can parry the lunging tentacle as well as the ones rising. The Timekeeper fight is much easier with a shield, or you can just be very aggressive and DPS the boss down. Timekeeper will start with 2 consecutive melee strikes in the first half, and 3 when she's down to half health. I find that the best time to attack is right after this melee strike. If you have a turret, those will do wonders here. Just drop them down in the arena and they can do a lot of the work for you. Timekeeper can dash once in the first phase and up to 3 I find in the second half. It's always telegraphed by the yellow glow. You can either dodge or parry this. Just be warned that you might have to get used to the timing first. Any shurikens she throws can be dodged or parried. If she chains them together, jump up, and then dodge when you hit the ground, or just chain together the parries. I find that the timing is very generous on these. She'll also might try to chain you, telegraphed by the sound effect as well as by the chains. Now, you can actually get hooked, and this doesn't really do too much damage, but the real damage is when she actually attacks you. You can either dodge or parry the chain, and if you're caught, if you have some way to stun or freeze when you're shieldless, you can still avoid the attack. You can also parry it, but you have to wait for the exclamation mark, which is a little delayed. Once you enter the second phase, you'll find that swords start to fall, but otherwise, the attacks are still the same. Just keep putting up the pressure and you should be fine. Giant emphasizes slow but heavy attacks. I would say coming here with a shield is around the same difficulty than without one. So the slow fist lunge, you can either dodge or parry it. Just be warned that a lot of the Giant's attacks are slow and they hit hard. Giant can also slam the fist down. All you have to do is move to the side of the fist and jump. The shockwave cannot be parried, as far as I can tell. Giant can also fire light beams at you. Just go to the center of the arena and dodge through projectiles or chain them with parries. There are two patterns to these projectiles, and once you deal enough damage to the fist, it's going to come down, climb on top of it, and deal as much damage to the eyeball as possible. At 50% health, the Giant will enter his second phase. He will have access to a new attack where he slams down both the fists. Stay on one side of the map and jump to dodge the shockwaves. This will be followed by falling crystals. Now I know some people don't like to be aggressive while this is happening because it's a bit too risky to attack while the crystals are falling, but I try to sneak some attacks every now and then. Try not to dodge too freely as crystals can be very disruptive. But other than that, just keep doing what you're doing and the fight is pretty straightforward. The Scarecrow fight might be the most frantic boss fight in the game. I find that shields help a lot. Or if you find a way to DPS the boss down very quickly, you can also do that. Scarecrow will always open with an onslaught of melee strikes. You can parry it as soon as you see the exclamation mark, and make sure to drop your turrets immediately if you have some, because they will do a lot of the work for you. Scarecrow will rise up and attack with the spear, spawning a mushroom boy every single time it comes down, to 3 in total. You can sneak attacks in while it's diving. Just be mindful of the mushroom boys. Scarecrow might also spawn 3 giant mushrooms. It's in your best interest to destroy them immediately by jumping on them or just by hitting it once. If not, Scarecrow can throw them at you and potentially deal a lot of damage. Scarecrow might also burrow into the ground and land 3 melee strikes against you. It might also rise up and use the watering can. You can dodge through it as you would through a set of spikes. Now, due to physics, you cannot parry water, unfortunately. Scarecrow might also go to the center of the arena and throw sights outward. If it's in the air, stick close to the middle as it throws, but not directly under the Scarecrow. Get some hits in very quickly and then dodge in any direction when the sights come back. If the Scarecrow does this while it's on the floor, dodge it when it throws, and dodge it again when it comes back. There's no need to jump on the mushrooms, so you can save some time. You can parry the sights, but I find that the hitbox is very weird, and I've tested it quite a bit and I can't do it consistently, when you've clearly seen that it should have been parried in this footage. And I honestly think the devs should fix this sometime. It's worth mentioning that the Scarecrow's attacks become faster when health reaches around 50% and then even faster when around 25%. Now, it's not telegraphed when the attack's speed changes, so just be on the lookout if you believe you're nearing the threshold. Overall, if it's done right, the fight really shouldn't last too long. And if you happen to gone through all of that, one more challenger is awaiting you at the throne room from achieving your victory. So I imagine Hand of the King is what gates most players from reaching the next BC level. This fight can usually last longer than most other fights. Now a general rule of thumb is that it's very dangerous to try to attack while the hand is also attacking. It's in your best interest to stay aggressive but not too aggressive. I like to think that this fight has two modes that the player is in. Either it's safe or it's unsafe. As soon as the Hand of the King finishes an attack, it's safe for you to land some hits in. But a fraction of a second right before the hand initiates the next attack, it becomes unsafe to attack, and you should always play defensively. So let's take a look at the Hand of the King's movesets. Now, the hand will always open with an upward slash, just dodge behind it and get free hits in. While you can parry this, it takes way too much time and effort, and then Hand of the King will select from 5 possible attacks. The first is a quick lunge followed by a ground slam. You can parry the lunge, but you must jump to avoid the slam. Now the hitbox on the slam can be very weird. You can either jump far away or climb on an ice platform, which I find is the safest bet. To dodge the triple slash attack, all you have to do is dodge through the first, jump through the second, and dodge through the third. You can parry this rather safely, but you have to watch the timing, as the attacks are slower than you might expect. I won't slow down the footage here so you can get used to how fast the attacks come out. To dodge the bomb toss attack, run to one side of the arena and jump onto an ice platform. The bombs are rather unpredictable, I find, but this is possibly the best way to deal with it. Now some items in the game can nullify this entire attack, such as magnetic grenade or the shovel, and it gives you more opportunities for damage because all you have to do is keep damaging the Hand of the King. When the Hand of the King moves to one side of the arena, it means that he's going to try to dash into you and try to push you into the spikes. When this happens, all you have to do is dodge through it. While you can parry this attack, it still pushes you backwards, and I just don't recommend doing it in the first place. And lastly, this is probably the safest attack out of all of these, is that he will summon flags. Now when this happens, I would say try to just prioritize getting damage in, because I find that it's very easy to get rid of the flags. And even if one of the flags still is there, you can still just dodge it pretty easily by going to one side of the arena. Once the fight reaches around midway, the Hand of the King will rise up and summon enemies. Now when this happens, this is probably the safest time for you to heal back up. Even if your health is around 50%, I would say there's really no reason you should be greedy and hold back, because this is the endgame. Among the enemies, I would say always prioritize the disgusting worms if they appear, because you definitely don't want the bombs to interfere with the fight once the Hand of the King comes back down. There is no time limit during this phase. If you want your skills to get some cooldown, just wait for a bit and wait for them to refresh before you finish off the last enemy. Don't worry, the Hand of the King is not going anywhere. After the fight resumes, the boss is going to add 3 more movesets to his arsenal. The first one is a ground slam attack that covers the entire arena. You know that he's going to do it when the Hand of the King starts to walk to the center of the arena. The best way to dodge this is to jump on an ice platform, but you have to wait when the hand is at the apex of his jump. You don't want to do this too early because the hitboxes are pretty delayed. He will also add one more dash attack in addition to the one we've already experienced, so this time he will dash twice instead of once. Now, you are given just enough time to roll twice consecutively to dodge these, or if you feel that you don't have enough time to get the second roll in, jump over it, because this is also a valid option. Alright, let's look at some example runs for Hand of the King. First off, we're gonna have a Ice Shard Broadsword build. So as soon as the fight starts, I'm gonna go behind Hand of the King and get in as much damage as possible. When the triple slash attack comes out, I decided to jump on the platform because, well, why not? And I do get hit by the spikes. I see the thrust attack coming, so I dodge just in time, and then I jump onto a ice platform to dodge the subsequent ground slam. And just like that, we're gonna go into the enemy phase. And in a second here, I'm gonna heal back up using a flask because I don't feel too comfortable in this fight. Again, there's no reason you should be greedy. Even if you're around 50%, just heal back up. Ground slam attack comes out. Wait for a bit when Hand of the King is at the apex of his jump. And as you can see, the flags really aren't too big of a concern. Hit it once and it's dead. So I would say always try to prioritize getting some damage in. Let's move on to the second build. So with the survival builds, it's kind of in a tricky spot because your attacks are really slow. So you really have to watch out for what the Hand of the King does before you even do anything. And there, Ice Armor just kind of protected me. I did get pushed backwards, but I didn't fall into the spikes, which is pretty fortunate. And with the triple slash this time around, I'm going to parry the second 2 attacks. The timing is really important on that one because the attacks come out pretty slowly. And you don't want to hold up the shield too early to mess up the timing of the parry. And here what I'm doing is that I'm just waiting for my skills to come back so I can use it when I resume the fight. Now Ice Grenade is not really too helpful in this situation, but I didn't really find anything to replace it earlier in the levels, so I thought might as well. So as you can see here, I actually left one of the flags, but all you have to do is go to one side of the arena and you should be able to dodge it rather easily. Again, you don't need to prioritize the flags. Always try to prioritize getting some damage in because the flags, when that happens, I basically just see it as free hits. And there I'm gonna miss an attack at the last second, but luckily I was able to finish the fight right afterwards. So there we have it for the example runs for Hand of the King. Now if you made it this far, there is still one more obstacle before beating the game at 5 BC. This spot awaits for you at the top of the observatory. And believe me, this is a very tough boss. Now, out of all the boss fights, I would say the Collector boss fight is probably the longest one out of the whole. Although his attacks are not that hard to dodge, they hit very hard. So how this fight works is that once you get the Collector down to pretty reasonably low health, he will drink from his flask. Now he will do this 3 times and then drop it on the 4th. In this fight, it's the same principle as Hand of the King. It's important to not get caught off guard, and it's still in your best interest to stay in this fight as short as possible. Now when you start, the Collector will open with the following set of attacks. The first one that he will do is a jab attack with the syringe. Now the number of times he does this seems to be random. He will do this at least 3 times and a maximum of 5 times. If you don't have a shield, you can dodge one of them, jump to the next, and alternate until you're finished. If you have a shield, you can parry it when the timing is right. Just be mindful that the first attack is a bit slower, so you should probably be aware of that. The next attack is a tornado attack. The hitbox on this tornado is pretty big. I would say if you don't have a shield, you have to dodge through it slightly earlier, as you might expect. He will spin across the room 3 times. And you can either stay in the center to dodge it when necessary, or if you're at the wall, you can also try climbing to dodge it as well. If you have a shield, you can parry it, but you have to do it slightly just outside the tornado, and this will end the attack immediately. Now the ground slam attack is a pretty big one. This is probably the one attack in the game you don't want to get hit by, because this ground slam attack might possibly be the hardest hitting attack in the entire game. Luckily, it's telegraphed rather easily. Now, it's unsafe to attack when the bombs are falling, however, just be mindful that they only do damage when they hit the ground in an aura. You can jump through them while they're in mid-air just fine. Once you get the boss down to a certain health, he will teleport you to the enemy room, kill the enemies that he spawns, and get in some hits. When you're teleported to the second arena, he will have 3 different new moves to use against you. The first one is Meteors. You can dodge through this rather easily, or you can parry it. I find that the timing is very, very generous. Next up is a Light Beam attack similarly to the Librarians you've already seen in the Astrolab. You would jump into the air and fire beams down at you. Now this attack cannot be parried, and you must wait until you see the exclamation mark or you hear a sound effect before dodging. The timing on this attack is very important. You will do this exactly 3 times, and some of the timings on the light beams might be delayed. Next up are extending light beams. I'm not sure what to call this attack. Basically, if you don't have a shield, you're given just enough time to dodge into the beam and get ready for the next. You can also parry it rather easily, just be mindful that it knocks you back a little. And in addition, you may be teleported to the room where a falling spike ball is revolving around you. Hopefully this doesn't happen. And after the 3rd heal, you will get teleported to the final arena. And in this part of the fight, he will use all possible attacks against you, and there is no time when he is resting. When he eventually drinks from the Panacea the 4th time, attack the Collector once to knock it out of his hand and drink it yourself. And the fight is pretty much over at this point. You might need to dodge 1 or 2 attacks, but overall just hit him and you're done with the game. Alright, let's take a look at some example runs. In this build, I'm running dual-binded throwing knives with the point blank mutation. So as soon as the fight starts, I'm going to be as aggressive as possible, just like I was in the Hand of the King fight. So the tornado attack comes out, I try to dodge a little earlier than what you might expect to dodge it in time. He does the first heal, and the ground slam attack is always telegraphed. You definitely don't want to get caught off guard by that one. Get in some attacks once again. He is going to do the second heal, so I am doing very well for this fight. We're going to get teleported to the first enemy room. This part is pretty self-explanatory, not really too much to say here. Just kill the enemies and get in as much damage as possible. And just like that, he's going to do the third heal, and we're going to get teleported to the final arena. He does the light beam attack. The timing on this is very important. Just watch him like a hawk and wait until the exclamation mark shows up. And just like that, we're gonna drink it ourselves. I'm gonna dodge one more tornado attack and the ground slam after that, and just like that, the fight is finished. In this next build, we are running Bloodsword with the Bloodthirsty shield, so this time we're doing a shielded run. The tornado attack comes out, I'm going to parry it this time. Just do it slightly outside where the tornado's hitboxes are, and as you can see, you don't actually have to dodge the falling light balls because it only deals damage when it hits the ground. Just like that, he's going to do the first attack, tornado comes out once again. Give myself just enough distance to parry it, and he's going to do the second heal. We're going to get teleported to the first enemy room. Again, not too much to say here. Kill the enemies rather easily. I put the turrets in the middle so that it's always doing some damage. And just like that, we're gonna get the third heal in. Gonna go into the home stretch by now. He does the jab attack, which I parry rather easily. Tornado attack, not a problem. And he's gonna drop the Panacea. Attack it once with the Bloodsword. Drink it ourselves. One more ground slam attack, and just like that, the fight is finished. So that's gonna do it for all of the bosses in Dead Cells. Hopefully you found this guide helpful in reaching the next boss cell level. And if you enjoyed this video, definitely leave a thumbs up as it helps me out a lot. If you have any thoughts, definitely let me know in the comments. That's gonna be it for me, guys. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.